Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Mythical. This is Mythical Plays Games, and I am very excited because today is the start of a new series that we're going to be doing here on the channel, where we interview players. And I have with me Dylan, who I'm going to pass through to interview in a second. But let me tell you a little bit about why I wanted to do this because one, sort of selfishly, the way that I've seen success in any area of my life has paradoxically been to kind of decenter myself. So this is kind of my quest to become the world's best GM. So really trying to, I realize that's maybe not like a really achievable goal, but I won't be told no. So that's one. The other thing, and this is more serious, is that I feel like there's this weird mythical quality around like GMs and game designers, but I think you'll agree, Dylan, but like you're only ever as good as the players you have.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Like
So
100%.
to that point, I want to speak to some of the best players I know and get your insight on things to help me become a better GM, the best GM in the world, and
Right.
help
It's a
everybody.
good goal.
Yeah, and help everyone become better GMs. So why don't we start, Dylan, by getting a little bit of an intro about
Sure.
who you are and what you do, and
Well,
if you want people to find you, where they can find you.
okay. Well, my name's Dylan. I've been gaming for a long time now, like 30 years. Um, so, and I've been doing this, for a while. The online thing is relatively new. I had an online game like 15 years ago for a couple of years, and then when the pandemic happened, I started playing online more again. Mostly these days, I play Savage Worlds. That is my primary system. Although, ironically, I'm neither playing nor running it right now. I've got a 5e game and a Monster of the Week game.
Wait, seriously,
Um,
you're not doing any Savage Worlds right now?
no, not
That's
right now.
very weird. That doesn't
I
even
mean,
sound right.
it doesn't. No, I agree. It doesn't seem right to me either. But that's the way it shook out. You play what your players want to play. I have written a couple of things for the Savage Worlds Adventurers Guild, which is their community content program. I wrote a thing called the first one's Summoner Circle, which was about like summoning ish, and then a monster book called Modern Monsters, and most recent one, not that recent anymore, was a book called Intermission, which was about using basically the Blades in the Dark clock mechanics in Savage Worlds.
Oh, that's cool as hell.
Yeah, thank
That's
you.
awesome. All right, cool. I'm gonna link all of Dylan's stuff in the description so you can check it out later.
Love it.
Um, this might be sort of tangential to what we just discussed, but the first question I have for you is, what's your favorite setting?
That's tough. I really like Deadlands. If I had to like go by the number of campaigns I've run, it's Deadlands by
Can you
a
explain a
pretty
little
wide
what
margin.
Deadlands is to people who
Sure.
might not know?
Yeah, of course. Deadlands is a horror western setting. It is. It's got a lot in it, but there's a lot of horror. It's set in the Wild West, so like it starts in 1860 something, and then the current one I think is like early 1880s. Um, it is. It's got some steampunk in there, but the basic idea is that during the U.S. Civil War, magic breaks out and starts continuing the conflict, and zombies rise at Gettysburg, and the whole world starts to fall apart. It's a very cool setting, but it's basically like alternate history and supernatural stuff in the Wild West.
That's very cool. That's
Yeah.
very cool. And
Have,
Savage Worlds
yes,
is the system that Deadlands
yes,
is.
that's sort of the flagship setting for the Savage Worlds system,
Right, right.
because it all sort of came from Deadlands Classic.
Sure, sure. So, do you have and I guess so? Savage Worlds would be your answer of your favorite system. Any particular reason that it resonates so strongly for you?
Well, I think the big thing that it does well is that it's a pretty middle of the road system in terms of complexity of mechanics. Like there are a lot of lighter systems and there are a lot of more crunchy systems. I think Savage Worlds is pretty good about speed of resolution. It's got narrative tools, so you're never like completely hosed if you've still got pennies that you can spend, which I like. And it's just what I'm familiar with. I mean, a lot of it is just the thing you're familiar with is the easiest system
I
to play.
completely am with you, man. Like system familiar, like people don't talk about how important that is, but like system familiarity is a big thing. Like,
Yeah.
you can like I can do basically any kind of game with 5e because I know the bones of the thing.
Yeah.
Like I
I
know
mean,
how it works, and I think you're probably the same way with Savage Worlds.
yeah. And there are things that like you wouldn't want to do with a system like
Exactly. Again, because you know the bones of the
right.
thing.
Yeah, like you wouldn't play Savage Worlds with if your goal was to play like regular people because it's a
Yeah,
pulpy system. Like it's a system that is designed from the ground up to have like some people are main characters and some people are extras, you know, and it's not you've got to play the system that fits with what you want to play.
sure. So as a player then for Savage Worlds, like you're able to is there like a heroic badassery kind of element that it enables for you?
Yeah, definitely. Like it is definitely a system that works best when you are playing a heroic character and are doing sort of over the top things. It's
Nice.
kind of what it's all about.
Nice. Very cool. Conversely then, do you have a system that just hasn't clicked for you?
See, I read that question when you sent it to me, and I was like, "Wow,
Yeah.
you're starting fights today." Um,
Look, it's not I don't have a system, but I do have a game. I have a
okay,
game that like just doesn't work for me, and specifically it's Urban Shadows. And it's not a fucking state secret, I don't think, but like Urban Shadows is a PBTA game where you have basically city factions that of werewolves and like it's urban fantasy
okay,
effectively. But
right,
the reason that I don't like Urban Shadows is that there's one very specific mechanic in it that sort of underpins the entire game, where I fucking forget what it's called, but oh, favors. Sorry, favors is what
favors.
it's called. And
Okay,
sorry, my cat's like losing her shit in the background.
yeah,
But
I was kind of wondering, is that like
sorry, she sounds like she's dying, but she's not. I promise. But anyway, so favors is and uh, there's two reasons that I struggle with. One is that it is completely opposite to how I run games.
mhm,
When how I run games is that all of the NPCs know that the PCs are badasses. And like
okay,
you start at like a level of I think you're amazing and I will react to you accordingly. With
okay,
Urban Shadows, everything starts with no. Everything starts with like
mm,
with no, and you have to work your way up to a yes to gain that favor mechanic. And like
okay,
so that's one reason. The other reason is that I professionally am in sales.
yeah,
So for a living I convince people to do things. It's not fun for me to do it in a game. And like I think
okay,
some people really enjoy that like social contest element,
right.
but like I'm too close to it in my real life, and it's too opposite for me in the way I run games.
Okay.
And
So sort of you would not dig like a drama system kind of a thing where the whole scenes are
maybe
set up. Okay. Well,
maybe
that
I've
one's
never played one, so you know
sure.
maybe I would like it, and you know it might just be that like I really thought it was me, you know. So I've tried Urban Shadows with I think like three different GMs at this point, and it was
Right.
at the third game I was like, I think I kind of just don't like this game.
I think this is I think this is not yeah,
this
that's
and
tough.
at that point, till that point, and since then, frankly, I have not come across a single game that I just like straight up don't like.
I think so. I'll back up. I'll actually answer the question instead of dodging it and making you do it. The one game I've played that I was like, wow, this is pissing me the hell off is unfortunately Genesis, which is the system
Oh,
behind.
brutal.
I'm sorry.
That's one
I
of my
wanted to
wonder
like it.
plays.
See, I know. And see, it the thing that bugged me, and I will admit that all I've played is the Edge of the Empire Quick Start. And that may not be the most representative of the game. I don't know, because I haven't played it that much.
Sure.
But the thing that I found was, as a player, it was very tough to constantly have such a weird dice resolution mechanic, because it was constantly asking both me as the player and the GM, like, what does this mean? Because are you familiar with it? Have you played it at all?
I'm not. No, it's
Okay.
on my list of want to plays.
So you roll a bunch of dice. So it's like a dice pool ish kind of system.
Already love
dice.
it, love it, dice pool.
Yeah.
Because I just like rolling a lot of dice. Like I just like, I don't have a more complicated reason than that.
I mean, that's it. So you will have to buy extra dice for this, and they are custom dice.
Oh,
you don't get to roll just.
Don't like that.
Okay, so.
Okay.
But the basic mechanic is you roll you get like a bunch of dice. The circumstances give you dice, and your stats give you dice, and your skills give you dice, and whatever. And you roll them, and then you get like a result. So you might have a total of 2 successes and 3 disadvantage, or whatever. And that the successes determine whether or not you succeed at the action. And then your advantage and disadvantage, and there's I think triumph and threat is also in there. So there's several. What you end up with is a resolution with several different axes to it.
Crazy.
So it'll be both, did you succeed at what you wanted, and did it change the battlefield? So, for example, you might say, if you fail but end up with several advantage, you shoot when you're shooting at a guy. You shoot at the guy, you miss him, you didn't do damage, but because you have 3 advantage, then you have to figure out, okay, what do I do with 3 advantage? Do I make him easier to hit later? Do I change something about the fight? So like,
resolution is like a multi-step thing. There's no resolution as okay.
I wanted to like it, but it was not easy to play. And it might, just like we said earlier, it might be one of those system familiarity things where once it sings and you're familiar with it, you're like, oh, I know what I can do with 3 advantage on this roll, so I can, make it quicker. But I found it was like a lot of figuring out what I was trying to do after each roll.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
And it's also the system behind Legend of the Five Rings, which is a setting that I love.
Get out of here! I didn't know that. Yeah, didn't know that. That's cool.
The big things they've done with it so far are L5R and Star Wars.
Man, I really want to play L5R. That's another one. That's another one.
I ran, and this is going to be sacrilege to anybody who's familiar, but I ran a D20 campaign because they put out a really good Rokugan book, which is the name of the setting, back in the D20 boom days.
Sure.
And I ran that for like 2 or 3 years.
Why is that sacrilege?
You have to ask an L5R player, because they're already raging in your comments.
Okay, if you're an alpha, it's okay. Like 2 people watch this. That's fine.
Okay, all right. I know that.
I don't think any of them are L5R players.
All right, well, maybe you'll dodge a bullet here.
If you are an L5R player, or if you know L5R players, please let me know in the comments, or like why Dylan is a jerk.
It's fair. There's so many reasons.
Amazing. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for being candid with that. I know that's people don't really want to talk about things they don't like as much as you don't want to
It's not
stir up shit. Like you're
it's
not.
not as fun.
I understand, man. Like you're not being malicious. Like there's no malice here. Like I get it,
Yeah.
and I want to reiterate that for anyone who might think otherwise. Like that's not the game here. So my next question for you is you've designed a few things and
Yeah.
but I think it's probably fair to say that you started in those areas as a player first. So what is it about those things that you ended up designing that like really stuck with you as a player? You're like, this is really cool, like I want to do more with this.
So, I mean, the first thing that I put out that was like a paid product was something that I had been a player for first. So I did a book about summoning creatures and stuff, and a lot of that came after I played a character that I really loved that was focused on summoning. This was a Pathfinder Society game, and he was a summoner. I don't know if you are familiar with the class, but
Yeah,
it's a dude who has a monster friend.
sure.
Um, um, and I really liked it, and I kind of wanted to figure out how to make it in Savage Worlds, and it didn't work because the mechanics weren't there. Like
Is
there's
it before Savage Pathfinder
yeah
or
this
like
oh,
with
yeah
Savage
this was
Pathfinder?
this was at the very beginning of when the current version of Savage Worlds came out.
Right. Got
That's
it.
when they started their community content program, which when Savage Worlds Adventure Edition came out.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So really
So
an element of a character you were playing, of a class you were playing. That's really
yeah,
cool. That's
yeah.
really, really
So
cool.
and then from that, I was like, oh, okay, I can actually do this desktop publishing stuff. Okay, and then I can from there I can do more things. And the other stuff that I published has definitely been more on the jamming side. That one, the Summoner Circle, the first one, definitely came from something that I had wanted to find a way to play, but couldn't
That's
establish
awesome.
mechanics.
That actually leads into my next question kind of perfectly, which is what kind of characters do you like to play? Like, do you gravitate towards a certain kind of mechanic?
I mean, yes. Okay, so now I'm curious because you've actually played in a bunch of games with me, and I'm curious to know if you think that I have a character type.
I do think you have a type, but I would like
Okay.
to hear your answer first
Okay.
before I
All
share
right.
mine.
So I typically start with a voice before I really do a whole ton of other stuff to establish a character. But if I'm just going to make whatever I want, I will usually end up playing some sort of like brawler character who can use magic. So
Nice.
somebody who like will get into a scrap but usually like buff himself before it
Sure.
and then go in. How close is that to what you thought?
That is like completely opposite to what I thought.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Hit
Yeah,
me
yeah.
up. What do you
So
mean?
I thought that from my experience though, I think I'm with you on you starting with your voice because I actually feel like you prioritize characterization over mechanic. And so that's something that
Okay.
I've experienced with you. That's my feeling. My second thing is I actually would think that you like more complex mechanics, which generally tend to align with casters.
That is true. I do tend
Right.
to play casters more than I play non-casters.
Right. So not like a particular style of character, but a style of mechanic. So
Yeah.
that has been my uh my sussing of Dylan.
Okay. I mean, not inaccurate. Not that's fair.
But I think you put character first. I think you put characterization and
I
story first.
so I don't know if they're that much of a dichotomy. Like, I mean, I do
Love that.
play
Tell me more
characters.
about that.
Okay, so this is actually something that I just watched a video on this. I don't do you are you do you follow Ginny D at all?
I don't, but I'm going
Okay,
to after
you should.
this.
Okay.
You have
So
great recommendations. If anybody is following, you need to follow all of Dylan's recommendations because they're all like amazing.
okay. So Ginny D is a YouTuber, and she did a video. This was several years ago.
Oh,
That
Jenny! Yes, no, I follow Jenny.
okay,
Yes,
okay.
sorry, I
So
misheard you.
okay, so she did a video ages and ages ago. Like I think she titled it something like "Play Your Character Wrong," and it was about um, not making good mechanical choices and how that is. I don't know. I don't want to mischaracterize her, but she recently did sort of a retraction video or a correction video that was about like how those things are not opposed. They can
Well, I
be
think I
orthogonal.
haven't seen that yet, but I've seen the
Okay,
thumbnail pop up in my
sure.
thing.
So what the idea was is like you don't have to make bad mechanical choices to play a character that it has personality and has, character depth.
Right, right.
I will play a character that is, kind of a complicated and an interesting guy, but they're usually pretty combat effective too, and
Yeah,
they're usually like not bad at their job.
yeah, yeah.
So
That's the sense I have gotten.
yeah,
Is that you tend to play sort of competent characters.
yeah, yeah. I don't like
That's
being
good
bad.
though. That's
Thanks. I mean,
awesome.
you know, most of these people are in like life and death situations. If they were
Sure.
bad at their jobs, they'd be dead already.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I'm with you. So to that point then, when you're picking like a list from like a list of pregens,
Sure.
is the backstory and sort of like their general competency as a character, like is that the thing that drives you, or do you
I
look for like a
mean,
mechanical fit?
look, if I had to be 100% honest, it would be what obnoxious voice can I fit to one of these characters?
I love that. I love that because for me, it's what is the art for this character?
Okay. See,
This
I
big
mean,
burly woman, I am in.
see, for me, it's like, oh, he's Southern. I can do a Southern voice.
Oh man, this is gonna like piss off a bunch of people who make pre-chats.
That's fine.
You're so
Whatever.
intentional about it. I'm like, yeah, no, I'll take that one because I like how it looks.
Yep. I mean,
Oh man.
um, trying to think of the pre-gens. Like we were looking at the pre-gens for a Hell on Earth game. Um, and the one that stuck out to me was the one that had like sort of a redneck hickish backstory, and it seemed
Right.
fun. I was like, okay, well, I can do a voice for that, and he's the sort of character I like to play, which is sort of the magical brawler. So I'm in 100%.
Amazing. I'm playing a
That guy.
mutant in that game because I
Oh
have
yeah.
recently started playing a lizard folk in a short campaign,
Mhm.
also like a short adventure arc elsewhere, and I'm
Mhm.
finding that I am really enjoying playing this like hugely narratively different character, like
Okay.
borderline alien to like the
Yeah,
rest of the group.
it's kind of. I mean, it can be fun, but it can be tough to
I
like
think on a one
keep.
shot, like it's fine to be
Yeah,
gimmicky. Like that's
yeah,
my hot take is be as gimmicky as you want for one shots.
yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, because at one shot, I mean, it's 4 or 5 hours. You're gonna be done. It'll be
Exactly.
fine.
Exactly.
Um,
It
it
don't piss everyone off by doing it for like a
right.
campaign. My next question, sort of related to all this, how would you classify your playstyle?
I am. I don't know. I act and I play characters who are good at their stuff. So the Stormwind fallacy, which is
What
the
is the Stormwind
oh,
fallacy?
oh sorry, that's what we were talking about a little bit ago, which was the thing where just because you have a good, powerful mechanical character, that does not mean that you are not also capable of role playing, and
Oh,
vice
got
versa.
it. Got it, got
Okay,
it.
so I don't know. I'm pretty tactical. I like tactical games. Like, I'm running a Monster of the Week game right now, but it is kind of like sometimes I like having minis on the table and
I
stuff.
get
I
that.
I have played war games in the
Get
past, so that
that.
is definitely a part of what I enjoy. But I also, really dig characterization and getting into character and stuff
Yeah.
and arguing. So I don't know.
I think that's probably why I like Savage World resonates with you and 5 year
Yeah,
resonates with me because I'm with you. I like that a little bit of crunch. Like
yeah, I do
I
too.
like that slight technical element to a game. Purely narrative games just I struggle a little bit with
I
for
don't know. I
anything
mean,
longer than a short arc.
yeah, I because we played Swords Without Masters and had a great time.
I love
Um,
that.
and
But that's
there's
again a short game for me.
yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, it was a one shot, but it was so fun. But
Oh, so great.
the resolution mechanic for that is literally like roll to determine the mood of your narration that you do whatever
Yes.
the hell you want it.
Yes. Yes.
Is it like the mechanic is literally like, is the scene sad or is the scene exciting and pulpy?
Yes,
That was it.
exact dude. I have I have another series that I do on here, which is just like things I like.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be doing one about tones in Swords of
Okay.
Master because like I love that mechanic.
Yeah.
And
It's
like
a super cool mechanic.
I genuinely feel like being intentional about like how you narrate things has made me a better GM.
Yeah.
Like I've been able to like it never occurred to me before that like I might be able to create such drastically different moods just with word choice. And
Yeah.
like when you say it out loud, like it makes sense intellectually, but like it's a different thing to actually like be purposeful about it. I feel like
I think so.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking at my list of questions.
Sure.
Oh, actually, the man, this is so great. It's just like leading into like all the next questions. My next question is talk about one interesting mechanic from any game that you'd like as a player.
So, okay. Right now
Not
I'm running.
tones, because we just talked
Not
about
tones.
tones.
We just talked about it. We're not going to do that. We're not going to go back. We're going to go forward. Um, right now I'm running Monster of the Week. And one mechanic I've been digging is the luck mechanic there. And in particular, like you've played Monster of the Week, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So for your audience who have not, Monster of the Week is a PBTA game. And luck is a mechanic that everybody gets that is a resource that you have for the life of your character. So you have, I don't know, like 12, I don't remember how many you get, like 10 or 12 or something. But you get luck. And when you are out of luck, your character is done. And you can spend
Yeah.
luck to roll a critical success on any roll.
Oh,
But one of the
cool.
things,
Forgot about that.
yeah, yeah, I think there are other PBTA games that have sort of a similar thing where
Right.
when you are out of it, you are done. That is the end of your character.
Yeah.
But the thing that I dig is that about half of the playbooks have an additional tie into them where when you spend luck, something from your backstory comes up.
Oh,
And that is something
cool.
like there are two that are in my current game. One guy is playing a crooked, which is the sort of criminal
That's what I played.
beefy. Yeah, same thing. So one guy is playing a crooked, and one guy is playing a spell slinger, which is the sort
Sweet.
of Harry Dresden professional wizard
Sure.
kind of a playbook. And the criminal, when they spend luck, something from their past comes into play, like somebody that they've screwed over or someone that they've done a crime against, comes back into the narrative. And
Cool.
the spell slinger, they are a member of some magic organization, and when they spend luck, that magic organization comes into play. So
That's
it'll
cool as
show up
hell.
in the next adventure.
That's
And so that
awesome.
that really helps to do something that I have found difficult in the past, which is to like regulate how often backstory stuff comes into play.
Sure.
Because like if you've got the enemy disadvantage in Savage Worlds, it's tough to determine like how often that should come up. And that the thing I like about luck is it lets the GM know, okay, this is not something that's coming up today. This is next time.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Cool. Is that something you've been able to play as well, or have you
Um,
just run it?
I have played PBTA. I also played a crooked.
So,
Like,
how did you like it to have your backstory sort of in the game that way?
I liked it. I think it was fun because it gave me like it kept my backstory in the game. And that
Sure.
one of the reasons that I've had trouble with that in the past is because it is tough to make backstory come up without it feeling like this
Right.
adventure is about Dimitri and you are all side characters. Um, and I think that the luck mechanic, because it lets the GM plan ahead
Yeah.
and it lets you say, okay, I'm spending a luck, so I am buying into the fact that this is now going to come up. I really like that.
That's awesome and super super insightful. Need to find a way to make it more organic to bring up backstories. Yeah, that I really like that. I'm gonna have to like read up on that mechanic again because
It's
I
cool.
feel like that's pretty cool, and I can maybe try and use it because that's what I
It's,
basically do. I just like steal mechanics from doing games
yeah,
and just like
bolt it all together and
yeah
figure
yeah
out.
just like
Yeah,
make my little like I am Frankenstein
right. I
make
mean,
my
I've
terrible
played plenty of
monster.
games that were weird Frankenstein's of other
I
systems and
love it. It's so
put them together.
great.
Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of games we've played, what is one or a few memorable things that any GM has done that sticks
Sure.
out in your memory?
Um, one. So I thought about this because you gave me the questions ahead of time, not to spoil
Sure.
the
No,
illusion.
this is a
Um,
completely organic,
right,
unprepped conversation. We're just really
right.
good at
Hundred
improv.
P. Years and years of experience.
This is a real
I
rooted interview.
as they all are.
As they
Um,
are.
I had years and years ago. I played in a game where the GM had a bucket of of rumors, um, and it was literally this was a City of Brass game. So we were in sort of a
Oh, nice.
um, we were in the city of the Ifrit on the elemental plane of fire. And he had like a brazier in the middle of the table, and it had notes in it. And these were when you know went around and talked to people. One of the things you could do was you could say, "I'm going to go look for rumors," and you would literally pull a note out and read it, and it had like they were rumors or quest hooks and stuff, and it was nice because it was very tactile, um, and it was good at sort of drawing you in because you kept it like this was a thing that you had for the rest of the campaign. You had this rumor, and it was, you know, it changed. So if we did stuff, if we, you know, started a riot in the middle of the slave market or whatever other heroic things we did, more notes would show up in there, and some of them would be about us. I know at one point I drew a rumor about one of the other PCs in the group because they had done
Oh,
something.
that's so cool.
Yeah, it was super fun, and it was nice and tactile, and it was sort of, we looked for ways to get rumors because they were so cool.
That's awesome, man. What a cool way to like have it be like your actions are impacting the broader world. Here's what people are saying about you.
Yeah,
Like and like having you be able to engage with that in like a fun way and like that's really cool. That's really really cool. I'm stealing that.
you totally should.
I
I
am
did. I mean,
definitely
I've
still.
done that since then.
I just yeah, very very liberal with my with my
just
stealing of things.
just nope. I'm gonna steal that.
Yes, yes. All right, cool. Thank you. So from you mentioned how like tactile elements stick out. Like that was really important for you. You mentioned before that you occasionally like minis and you've done wargaming. Like, are there specific elements in a game that help it stick out for you as a player? Like they kind of make you think about the game outside of the time of the table. Like it really resonates with you.
So one when I years and years ago was doing online gaming, um, we would have side sessions that were out of, you know, not just our weekly game, but we would do stuff outside of that. We would have like in character chats or side conversations.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I think that really helped to keep like a sense of the characters. And that's something that I've tried to do a couple of times with like Discord or other sort of more modern communication methods. And I mean, we were in high school and college, so we had a lot more time then. But
Sure.
it worked really well that
Was
time
it
to have
actual
like
like sessions like you got together or was it like async stuff?
it was all online.
Right.
So it was
Right.
this was chat based, so
Right.
it wasn't like play by post, but it was basically in character role play chat.
Right. Right.
And we had like just side sessions, and so we sent it to the gym when we were done.
That's awesome. That's very cool. Yeah, I had done something similar like that in an earlier like Shadowrun game that I'd
Mhm.
been in. There was a ton of intercession writing about our characters to develop the
Yeah,
characterization because the games themselves were very like mission focused,
yeah,
so there wasn't a lot of opportunity to do like character exploration, but that element was really important to all of us players, so we just
right,
kind of did it outside the game.
yeah.
um
And that setting really lends itself well to that because I remember even like back in the day, the Shadowrun books were themselves like very much you're reading a message board.
yes, yes, yeah, I like the Shadowrun. Yeah, it's not, again, it's not a state secret. I think people know I like the Shadowrun
Yeah, I
universe.
mean it's a cool universe.
It is. I like it. I like dragons in charge of
Yeah,
cities. Like that's fun.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I know some people don't like fantasy in their cyberpunk, but
Yeah.
it
Whatever.
doesn't bother me.
I I am not a cyberpunk purist because I would never really read a lot of cyberpunk. So Shadowrun
Yeah,
is what Shadowrun is just as foundational to cyberpunk to me as like
exactly, exactly.
Neuromancer or
And
whatever.
also, like, if you're like a cyberpunk purist, like I think you should play Eclipse Phase instead of Shadowrun.
Wow,
Like that's my
that's that's a hot
like.
take. All right.
It is. It is. And I'm standing by it. It's
I
just as crunchy, but like it doesn't. I didn't find it to be as like gear porny. Like that was my issue with Shadowrun. It was like I'm so tired of looking at heels, and I don't care. I don't care what gun I
I've
use.
given up. I don't care. I'm out. I Yeah, that's kind of been my experience. I mean, I will do that stuff. Like I played GURPS for a while.
I've
I've
only
read
played one GURPS game and I loved it. I
yeah.
really,
What did
really
you
enjoyed it.
what did you play?
I wish I could tell you
Uh,
if it was like a certain kind of GURPS, but it
gotcha.
was you know what? I fully believe that the GM had like so much to do with it because he had
Yeah.
this
It always does.
very, yeah, he had this incredible Foundry module that like made everything really seamless in terms of
Ooh.
play, and he was able to like really streamline and make easy even the more complex roles
Yeah,
and resolutions and that kind of thing.
that's
He's
cool.
a professional GM though, so like
Right.
I maybe I will like badger him into being on here at some point, but like I'm pretty convinced that it has so much to do with GM.
Yeah.
And
I
like, yeah.
I mean it always does. In any game you play, GURPS is not super complicated in play. It's
Yeah,
super complicated
yeah,
in the back end where you have to like
yeah,
build the characters and stuff
yeah.
and make your
Thankfully,
choices.
pre-gens were
Yeah.
available, and I really gravitate towards pre-gens because I struggle with engaging with that much of the game's mechanics that early on.
I yeah, I have played one um one con game where I was expected to make a character. That was the last time. It was just the
Really,
worst.
eh?
Yeah, yeah, no, it was terrible. The only game that I would be okay with rolling up and being like expected to make a character would be maybe Traveler. Um
That's
because a
another.
lot of the fun of this, you know, people play Traveler for the life path system. They don't
Sure.
necessarily play Traveler for the space trucker portion of Traveler.
That's another one of my desperate to plays.
Oh, really? Is that on
Yeah,
the list?
yeah,
I
yeah.
I have not played Traveler in a very long time, but I mean I remember it fondly. It's Firefly. You drive around, you
It's
try and
pretty
make sure
cool.
that your ship has enough money to do stuff, and
That's dope.
that's your gig. You keep flying.
No, it sounded like you said you were gonna run Traveler for me.
Is that
I can't be certain
look?
because like there's
I
audio lag and stuff, but
don't.
like I'm pretty sure that's what I heard.
I would literally have to learn Traveler from scratch completely over again. I am more likely to run Alternity for you than I am Traveler.
I'll take all dirty.
Okay.
I will take it. We're talking about all these old school systems, so I'm gonna ask you a question that wasn't on the list. Uh,
Okay.
do you miss any of them? Like, there's been an evolution in gaming, and like, what's trendy now are more narrative games. And again, no judgment, just an
Yeah.
observation. But like, do you miss any of those old games, and do you wish that you could play them more regularly?
Alternity is on that list. The trouble is that I can because I've still got a lot of the PDFs, so I can play any darn thing I want. The trouble is just finding people to play it, like finding people who are interested in spending the hours to learn a new system. Um,
Right.
I remember Unisystem fondly, which was the Buffy game.
Nice.
Um, and there was a really good Marvel game that sort of disappeared when I think it was whatever the company that Margaret Weiss does lost the license for it, and that game
Right.
sort of black hole real fast. And I don't think you can find it anymore through any legitimate means. And
Sure.
I remember it very fondly, and I'm like, man, I wish I could find that game again. But it was a really good like superhero Marvel implementation.
What system do you like for super games? I really like Cypher. I love Cypher for
See,
super games.
I haven't gotten a chance to play Cypher. Cypher is one that I have completely missed so far. Like if you're going for a drama story, I think Masks is the way I would go. If I was
Yeah.
going more tactical, I would probably play Savage Worlds, but that's the trouble is that I know Savage Worlds better than a lot of people, so like I can build a supers character, but it's fucking
Sure.
complicated
Yeah.
for other people.
Final question,
Okay.
which is what would you like your or actually no, two questions.
Two more.
Two
Two more. Okay.
questions. The
All right.
first
Well,
one, do you get to play as often as you would like? Not GM, play.
yes. I am so yes, I get to play as often as I would like. I don't get to play what I would like to play as often as I would like. Um,
Right.
I get to play 5e. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could play 5e every night of the week.
Sure.
Do I want to do that? Not really. It's not. It's not my favorite.
Sure.
I do get to play pretty regularly though. Like we are currently co-GMing my Monster of the Week game.
Nice.
So we've had a couple of sessions, and I've only run one of them. I ran the first session, sort of established the setting a little bit, and then since then, other players have run all of them, and I actually get to play in that, which is super fun.
Nice.
Um, so yeah, right now I'm playing quite a bit. I'm not running a regular game myself, other than the Monster of the Week that I'm sort of co-GMing. So yeah, I
Sure.
get to play quite a bit. Um,
Nice.
I would love to play more Savage Worlds, but that's, I get to because I do it online pretty regularly. We
Sure.
we know each other through the Savage Interlords Ludes Discord, which does have a lot of people who will run Savage Worlds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
True,
like
because
we've got
running
that.
campaign, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Not a lot of campaigns. Like we've got that Hell on Earth thing coming up.
Yeah.
That's gonna be Savage Worlds stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Okay, my last question.
Last question.
Is there anything you want your future GMs to know?
Future GMs to know. It would just make sure it's fun. I mean, that's what we're all here for. Like, don't get too worried about it. Don't get too precious about it. Um, a lot of the times that I've had issues, it's been things like people are super worried about the setting, and or people are super worried about like getting it right. It's like no, if you've got a good group of players and a GM who wants everybody to have fun, like you're 99% of the way there. The rest of it is just you know a little bit of drag that can all be resolved pretty easily.
That actually makes me feel really good because I've been like, I want to run sci-fi, but I'm like so intimidated by it. I'm
No,
so
I mean,
intimidated by it.
if you're familiar with the tropes, then
That's the thing. I don't feel like I am. I don't
well,
feel like I'm nearly as familiar as I am with like traditional fantasy. I can run a traditional fantasy one shot in my fucking sleep,
yeah,
but like I don't feel like I'm there with sci-fi, and I am petrified that I will get it wrong. But like
I
maybe I just
no,
need to trust my players to
I
not
think so.
be thing about it. Like,
Yeah,
and I think that's a valid thing for me to trust them because all my players are awesome. Like,
yeah.
why shouldn't I trust them?
If if you've got good players, you're gonna have a good
Yeah,
time.
I have great
That's
players.
pick the right players. Pick people who aren't
Yeah,
douchebags, and you'll be
yeah.
good to go.
I I I only know great players, so it's
Right.
fine.
Okay. That's good. That's the way to do it. I mean, if someone's not a great player, like, well, I don't know you anymore.
Well, Dylan, this was just spectacular. Thank you for
Thank you.
being my guinea pig, I guess. It was the first one of
Okay.
these.
Yeah, totally.
The
Thank you for
next
having
one
me
might
on.
be more street fight. Maybe. I don't know.
We'll
Probably
see.
not.
Yeah.
Probably not. I just like talking to people. Like I
Yeah,
like talking to
totally.
people and people are interesting. And
Yeah.
so thank you for being
Of course. Well,
interesting.
thanks for having me on. It's been a
Yeah.
good time.
It's great. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody for watching and thanks Dylan for being here. Bye.
Bye.